What is up, Patreon crew? First of all, thank you very much for supporting us through Patreon. Really appreciate it. All levels, all tiers, everything like that. And I'm excited because this post show should be pretty good. We got so many questions during the live show that we didn't get to ask of Guillaume. And Guillaume's such a nice guy and taking a lot of time out tonight to join us for the post show. So Guillaume, welcome to the post show.
Yay!
Cool. Let's just get right into it. Go for it.
Remind people if they're watching this on the Patreon page.
Oh, yes. If you are watching the post show on the Patreon page, it's much easier to participate in the live chat and stuff like that by clicking the link at the top of the window browser here, just to go to the YouTube page, because the live chat takes place on the YouTube page.
And we can't see the comments
I
live.
know that we have a lot of new Patreon supporters this month at the $1 level. So if you are watching a post show for the first time, just click over to the YouTube page. All the questions and comments that get posted on the Patreon page, we usually don't get to see for a couple of days because we don't get updated quite as quickly.
Right.
So yeah, jump on over to the YouTube page.
Shall we?
Yeah, let's get right into it.
Do you want to finish talking about how he recorded
that was exactly it.
Okay.
So Guillaume, how did you track the activity? Because I know there was multiple watches. Did you combine them somehow? How did you manage to get that done?
Yeah, so entering the race, I had 2 watches. I had the Sunto Spartan Ultra and the Ambit Peak, and I set the Ultra to 1 minute 1 second recording. 1 minute recording.
Yeah. So
meaning that it could last 50 hours in this case. And of course, you lose a bit of accuracy, but I mean, over the 246 mile, I lost 20 miles just because cutting the corner with that setting. But I mean, that's totally fine. I just wanted the time, so I had that. So I had the Spartan Ultra, the Ambit Peak, and so I use those 2 watches. And then there is this great website, and I can send you the link. It's a tool where you can upload several GPX files, and it generates the full GPX.
That's awesome.
Oh, interesting.
So you actually basically combine the files together to one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a free tool. It's online. I mean, I can send you that right now if you want to give that to your Patreon supporter.
Yeah, I can post it in the description of this Patreon post. That's great. People will love to see that. I know that we do have some Patreon supporters that are 100-mile runners and stuff like that. We often get the question, how do you track with one watch? And the best advice I always have is just carry a portable USB charger and charge while you're recording. But this sounds like another alternative. Was it the Spartan Ultra? Couldn't have been the heart rate monitor watch. Was it non-heart rate monitor?
Yeah, non-heart rate monitor.
Okay. I was gonna say, because I don't think the heart rate one lasts for 50 hours, but the non-HR does. Okay, cool. Kim, let's get right into it. Questions for Guillaume.
Question from Marie in the chat room. Now that you're done, what did you wish you had known before you started that race?
It's a tricky question. Well, first of all, I wish I hadn't known the total distance. That's, I guess, something that was great that I didn't know for how long I was out there. I wish I had known actually that the trail was that technical. It's actually more technical than people think, and you have a lot of climbs than what people think. And I think over the 246 mile, I mean, on Strava at least, it gives me an elevation of like 25,000 feet. So it's actually quite a lot. I didn't know that. I was a bit surprised by that. But even knowing that factor, I mean, I wouldn't have really changed anything. So there is really nothing I wish I had known before. I mean, I wish I had known that I should have bought more food for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just doing the math quickly in my head. That's about 400-ish feet, 420-ish feet per loop.
You have more on the trail than on the road, but
yeah.
So 550 for the trail and 300.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's crazy. That's actually a lot more than I anticipated.
That's a lot,
yeah, so it's no slouch of a loop. In my mind, I was thinking it was like a pretty flat, both trail and road, but that's actually no slouch at all.
And you do have like roots and rocks. It's actually quite a bit like Hurt, you know. I mean, it's pretty fun. It's really fun.
Nice. Next question. Go for it.
A question from Chuck. Was there a significance to the 4.16667 distance?
Obviously.
Yes. So the goal, I mean, why Laz chose 4.1666667 is that if you run 24 loops, so in 24 hours, you do have a perfect 100 miles. So it's a kind of an easy way to run 100 miles in 24 hours.
And just for those who maybe are interested in this, Laz and his friends and community, they are very very specific with this sort of thing. So you know that they did the measurements accurately.
Right.
They were out there verifying a lot of the cross country records in the last couple of years and verifying that the athletes did do this. I mean, they like got in RVs and followed runners and stuff like that. They are finite about the details. So 4.166667 is like, oh, it's a joke. No, I guarantee you that Laz and his crew measured it almost to the foot. They would do that.
It's very funny too, because on the road, because it's an out and back, you do have shock markers on the road. So you have like half a mile, 1 mile, etc., etc. And at the turnaround, it's specifically written 2.0833333333. It's like on the full larger of the road, you have like those 2.03333333. So it's pretty funny.
That doesn't surprise me, but it also adds to the charm of the race.
Yes, totally.
Keep going.
Question from Thomas. Can you speak about how tough this was compared to some of the hundreds that you've run?
That's a great question.
UTMB, etc.
So that might surprise people, but I think it was actually easier. And just because of the fact that you cannot be overwhelmed by the distance. And for example, if you run 100-miler after 20 miles, I don't know, you have like a bad stomach or something is painful, you're like, wow, I still have 80 miles to go like that. But for this race, it cannot happen, because you're like, oh, I just have at least one more loop, 4 miles. So you cannot be overwhelmed by the distance. So mentally, it's easier to digest for sure. Physically, I thought it would be harder than it was, but because you don't really push on each loop, you don't have to run fast, right? There is no point. It's actually easier also, I guess, on the body. You basically just enjoy running, and that's fantastic.
See, I think that's great. And that's one thing I like about it, is that 4 miles in an hour, a lot of people can get that done, and at a fairly easy pace too. You know, you're not, even the people who are going to be struggling to get a 55-minute 4-mile loop.
You still have 5 minutes.
You still have 5 minutes to buffer, and that's plenty of time to just cram in food and get ready and get prepped. So it's cool to know that this race can be for those elites who want to go for fucking 59 hours, but it's also approachable for those who just can't, like,
aren't really fast.
Everybody
want really fast.
Yeah.
It's for everybody. I love that about it, and that's really what draws me to it.
And I think to add on that, I think people who dropped more for mental issue. I mean, it was hard mentally more than physically, for sure.
I was going to ask that. Like, did you get a sense as to why people dropped? Was it, especially later, was it sleep? Was it you mentioned having a bad stomach during a 100-miler, that daunting 80 miles left to finish your race, but like, did people have bad stomachs, or did that sort of thing crop up?
At least one person had a bad stomach, so it was Babak, the winner of last year edition. He actually ate apparently something like chocolate, and it was too much sugar or something, and he complained about his stomach. He had to go to the bathroom, and he spent maybe 10 minutes in the bathroom, and that was done because it was already 10 minutes eaten for the loop.
Yeah.
So that's also when I say you cannot have a bad loop, meaning like you cannot spend 10 minutes in the bathroom if you want, because then it will eat on your loop time. So then Andy had to drop for a knee issue. So it was more physical, but I guess all the other people, it was more of a mental thing. And I know, for example, John Fegerisi, so Barclay finisher too, right?
Yep.
He came into the race with the idea of, I just want 50 miles. So he had this goal, and after 50 miles, he dropped because he was done with his goal. So he could have gone way further if he wanted to, right? So as soon as you set a goal or you have a doubt in your mind, I guess you will be more willing to drop. So I guess it's very mental. And it was one of the most reason why people dropped.
Yeah, like to know that John was there too, and yeah, that's crazy. I didn't realize that he was like, he had that mindset of like, oh, 50 miles, and then that's pretty much it. He's a seasoned runner and very, very capable. Let's keep going.
Yeah, question from CTAM79. Did you hallucinate at any point in this race or witness anyone else hallucinating?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, I know Harvey also told me his story, but yes, we both hallucinated, especially during the second night. So what happened is that during the second night, it was pouring rain, right? So I couldn't really use my headlamp, because if I was turning it on, I just had a white wall in front of me because of the rain.
It was that bad.
It was reflecting the light, and so I turned it off, and so I could see all the shadow and everything. And I was seeing this woman on the side each time at the same point on the turn. I remember before the cross sign, and so she was there smiling at me each time, and each time I was coming closer to her, she was becoming this tree. And I mean, this was great. I had my own like specific supporter cheering on me every loop on the night. So I was seeing this woman, and I saw at one point I saw a house. I was not there. I was like, oh, I didn't see this house before, and there was no house. But Harvey too, I mean, he saw a lot of like animals and everything in the shadows during the second night.
That's crazy. I remember some of my hallucinations from my 100, but they weren't as like dramatic as seeing a house or something in the backwoods. Oh God, that'd be super creepy.
But
I don't think I could handle that.
The thing that I knew it was hallucination because I actually had a lot during UTMB too. I mean, I knew it was not real, so that was making me happy. I was like, oh, that's funny. And I was not to the point where I had a mix between reality and non-reality. So I still was aware that what I was seeing was actually not what was there, but it felt real, but I knew it was not.
Let's get to a couple more questions here.
Yeah, a question from Kim Wrinkle in the chat room. Guillaume, specific training alterations for Barkley. So what will you be doing specifically for Barkley?
A lot of climbing, I guess, a lot of steep stuff. Probably I will integrate more hike too, like long hike or multi-day hikes. I also plan to do, of course, a lot more orienteering events. I will go also to the Los Angeles Orienteering Club. They do have a lot of fun events. I did some in the past, and I probably do a lot more. So I guess just to get like a lot of map reading and everything. But I mean, training wise, I guess a lot of climbing, like basically what Gary did. I mean, last year I thought it was a perfect training. I mean, he cranked up, 100 miles a week with like 50,000 feet of climbing. So I think that's what you need.
Yeah, it's crazy to know just how much prep these guys are getting for something like the Barkley, both Jared, Gary, John, that sort of thing. But everyone's a bit different. It all kind of depends on where they live and how they what sort of trails that they have to train on. Like John's training is completely different than Gary's, and that was what was really surprising for me. You also won the Euchre Bar. Is it 50 miler?
Yeah, it was a 50 miler, Euchre Bar Massacre. And it was so it's organized by Sean Radney, who finished the fun run of Barkley this year. And so he went to Barkley and then he decided to put the same kind of events on a 50-mile distance, and you also have a 50K distance. It's basically the same. You do have to collect pages and you have a new number each time. That's a great event. So I did it last year, won it in 24 hours and 30 minutes for 50 miles.
So crazy.
And I was pushing, so it was like, wow, that's a long time. So yeah, Euchre Bar, I would encourage anyone who wants to attend Barkley to do Euchre Bar, because that's a great event, and it's a low entry level. It's just first come, first serve. So, and it's free, first of all. It's a free event. That's awesome.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's excellent. I did a little research on it. It's like, yeah, this is pretty gnarly. Let's get to maybe one or two more questions.
Sure. Question from Jesse in the chat room. You already spoke a little bit about this, but Jesse asked, does this race experience open up new possibility to longer races like Badwater, or even longer FKTs? So you already talked about doing Moab. Anything else?
Yeah, totally. I think it was really an eye-opening experience for me. I didn't know I could run that long, right? So before all the races, like, those 6-day races where they turn in a loop, I was like, no, it's not for me. Why would people do that? What would they want to do that? But now I'm actually very curious about, okay, what can I really do? How far can I run? And I'm very intrigued by those races now. So it definitely changed my vision of running and why I run and everything. So it's very, very interesting. So just after the race, Salomon called me. They were like, hey, would you be willing to run Moab 240 for us? And they would have called me before. It's like, no, it's too long, stuff like that. But now I'm like, yes, why not? It sounds like great landscape. And on a very long distance. And I think I really like it, you know. I mean, it looks like for me, the longer the better. So I was like, why not? So I'm not really into bad water still because it's a road. And I mean, there are stuff with the race directors that, I mean, I don't really like, but for sure, Moab, you know, all those 200 miles events, even like for example, across the year event by Jamil Khoury, which is up to 6 days where you run this 1 mile loop, actually kind of intrigued me now.
Yeah.
So for sure, it's changed my vision of running.
That's how, I don't know, I feel like that's how the Car Geek 12-hour, that's what it did to us too. It changed our perspective on what, I don't know. I'm far more intrigued to push the body for it, like a duration of time than like, oh, here's a set distance and that sort of thing. I don't know. It kind of, it changed my perspective too.
Yeah. And you know, only the fact that when I go to 100 miler and if I want to be competitive, I'm very focused on like competition and time. And for big backyard, I was only focused on running and having fun because competition, I mean, every loop you finished, you're tied in first place. And so everyone is leading at the end of every loop. So you only have to focus on running and just you have to enjoy running. That's it. So it was great also not to have to worry about time or to worry about competition or worry about going fast, but just having fun out there on the trail. It was great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I really want to apply. I really want to give it a shot. Guillaume, thank you for taking the time out tonight to join us, man. Remind the Patreon supporters where they can find you on social media.
So social media on Twitter and Instagram at GCalmette, GCalmetts. On Strava, Guillaume Calmette. On Facebook, Guillaume Calmette. And yeah, you can also shoot me an email if you want.
Sweet. Thank you, Guillaume, for taking the time, and congratulations on what seems like a superhuman effort and accomplishment. But I can't wait.
Tell you, I mean, it seems to be because you have the end result, but you know, just one loop at a time. So it's not superhuman, you know.
But that's what I'm excited about. Is like, wow, this is what an incredible effort. But I also feel like this is just the surface. Like I can't wait to see what you are capable of. And I know that you are probably in that same sort of mindset of like, can't wait to see what I'm capable of. So it's going to be awesome, man. Can't wait to follow your journey. I think this is just like the beginning to see what you're fully capable of. That's really cool.
Thank you for sharing your story and your positive attitude. Everybody is like,
everyone loves it, man.
Your positivity.
Just the fact you smile with everything and
fun.
Yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need in the sport. And thank you, Guillaume.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Patreon, for continuing to support the channel month after month after month after month. And please, you know the drill. Go thank Guillaume and share the show and stuff like that. Oh, before I forget, Guillaume, I'm going to tell you now, if you have a photo that I can use as the thumbnail for this show, email it to me like right after we hang up. I always forget to ask.
Big Backyard or?
Yeah, from Biggs or from something recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Biggs would be great if you've got it. But yeah, thank you, Patreon supporters. We'll see you guys next Monday. And Guillaume, come to Seattle. Come visit us. Come stay with us.
Yeah, please come visit.
Yes.
Bring Pauline and bring lots of baked goods. Yeah. We've been talking about Pauline's. Yeah, she's been like killing the baking game. All right, that's it for tonight's post show. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Guillaume.